Thank you guys for coming back. So it's time to introduce our next guest. So our next guest is going to be your friendly neighborhood rock star, bleeding all energy, real emotions, and a passion for performing. Kayne Dynell.
Woo! This is great.
What's up, boss man? How you doing?
What's up? How you doing?
There we go. Good. I like the fit, man. It looks cool.
Thank you. It's part of the mom era.
There we go. So let's get into some questions. So I see that your favorite meal is McDonald's chicken nuggets.
Yeah, it's a lot of controversy out here.
Yeah.
There's they say that there's meat that may not be the best for you inside of it.
I
Probably
feel
the best
you.
way to put that.
Well, I'll say one thing. I'm a big fan of Jack in the Box's chicken nuggets.
Oh,
So it's definitely a I can see where the beef would be at, honestly. I can see where the beef would be at. One thing I also think is pretty funny too is that they say that there's stuff in it. I'm still gonna buy it if I'm hungry enough. But I'm the type of person I like to get Wingstop ranch for my chicken nuggets. So I will make that trip if I have to.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I eat chicken nuggets every day, but I don't eat them from McDonald's anymore. I go to Costco and I get the chicken chunks.
Saving money, huh?
And I just air fry them.
Dang, yo, I love shopping at Costco. I feel like if I'm gonna save money and buy in bulk, that's the place to go. I used to go to Walmart, but it's just too many old ladies there, bro. I'm ready to dip on out. So my next question is, you have a third nipple.
It's true.
That's cool. Okay, so how what is it? Next to it, in the middle, what's the?
Oh, it's right below my regular one, I guess.
Wow.
It's smaller though.
That's interesting.
And it gets hard when it's cold and all that stuff.
I have met somebody with an extra finger, and it's so crazy to be oh wow, but after a while it's just normalized. It's not something you would see every day, but it's pretty cool. It makes you more unique in the type.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't even because I even last night I was at a rave, and I had my I had a jersey or whatever. And, I had my nipples pierced, so people automatically probably look at my nipples, but they don't think that it's kind of it's a halfway birthmark nipple thing, but it has the skin, and it's a little thing. When it's cold, it gets hard. It's pretty weird.
Dang, that's crazy, man. I know the ladies love it, huh?
Sure, yeah. The first day of high school, I remember I went and I had a friend, and in the middle of everybody being outside, I was like, Kayne has a third nipple, and I was the most interesting moment of my life. I was just
no, kids are, and now that I'm older, I realize that you can't really fault kids, because kids are they're just numb brain babies, But all we can do is just make sure, hey man, just do it respectfully. Right. That's it, So I guess let's really get into these questions. So how did you get into music?
Kind of always been in music. I think, I grew up, my grandma's a hippie.
Yeah.
And she grew up on Ozzy Osbourne, R.I.P. And that was her world. Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, Soundgarden. And my mom, she was more into the hip hop world, which is kind of my roots. She listened to everything. I grew up in cumbia. I'm Hispanic.
Yeah.
And so the Cumbia Kings, and also grew up in Brother Lynch Hung, and also Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of been a thing, and it started with, I got into music mainly because I started as a dancer.
Okay.
My first experience with I guess you could say interaction with music was drill team when I was younger, 5th grade I think it was, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So a cheerleader / drill team wasn't cheerleading because it had this element of the military. So you have drill downs.
Yeah.
These kinds of things. And
Wow.
also I didn't have pom-poms. That was not the thing.
Yeah.
But I did the drill team because my friend at the time, childhood friend, she was, as a guy, she was pretty, and I was like, okay, I can spend more time with you and be on drill team.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay.
Let's do it. And then, it started off by walking into practice, and the song Gonna Make You Sweat by CNC Factory was everybody dance. And the chord was I was oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. Bro, I'll say this, when I come from Arizona, I come from a high school, shout out to Florence High School. Their cheer team and drill team were back-to-back fucking championships.
That's great.
And it's so interesting because I'm going to high school, I didn't think these people these sport was that big. Seeing how big it is now and that how many people are really into it, it's kind of cool because it's like, all right, are your stunts right? Can you all be in sync? Are you guys on beat with the music? So
Right.
to see all that come together is kind of like, oh, this is cool. And they're getting down and they're doing flips. Sign me up, bro. Like, for reals.
Yeah, I was
So,
like
yeah.
the only guy.
So, my next question is, you performed at Jimi Hendrix's 50th memorial. You said this was a massive moment for you. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I think, coming from like the dance world and doing all different forms of media, the Jimi Hendrix thing was kind of cool because, well, he's from, Renton,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when I was teaching dance, short story, when I was teaching dance, we had some time to kill because I taught dance at this place called Blue Dog Dance.
Yeah.
And we had some time to kill, and where he's buried, his grave is like crazy. It's like a stone, and there's like lyrics and all this stuff. And so we were wandering a cemetery for whatever reason, and I was like, wow, that thing looks really crazy. So it was Jimi Hendrix's grave or whatever, and I was like, this dude seems cool. And then like I only knew Jimi Hendrix from the aspect of like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 Smoke on the Water. And so, fast forward when I was making like rap and music and things like that. I think it was 2019. I think it was 2019. Around that time, his 50th annual memorial, I got the opportunity to meet Tina, which is his sister, and Leon and stuff. And it was powerful because, well, there's truth, obviously. When people become large and lose their lives, there's always controversy.
Yeah.
I won't speak too much on that, but, there's always a narrative that's said, and a lot of times that narrative is not believed to be fully correct. And so she spoke on that, and his older brother spoke on that. And being able to share my music in an environment where this was before I entered the rock realm. So I was like a rapper performing at like a literal rock star origin man like memorial. It was like pretty powerful. It was like, wow. And I think that was kind of the moment where like grandma being a hippie and me, my very first concert ever was Ozzy Osbourne, Ozfest 2007. And so it was like, when I was in this moment, it was just kind of like, wow, this is crazy. I'm really performing at Jimi Hendrix's 50th annual memorial. That's a pretty crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of the start, I think, of like, okay, maybe I'm like a rock star, but maybe not the typical rock star people would say. It's like all these like things, but it's like, I know for sure that most people in life that I meet will not be able to say that they've performed or even met the Hendrix family in general.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like a pretty, that's a pretty big thing. Like history-wise, it could be inspiring to some people. There's some people that were mad inspired by Jimi Hendrix and probably think that that's like an insane thing to have done.
Yeah.
And like I look back at it and I'm like, wow, like I really did that. I performed rap and dance there, so it was interesting. But I think that it was cool because I had like Varsity Crew, which is like my dance team / label there, and it was fun.
That's cool. Yeah, I feel like when it comes to what a definition of a rock star is, I don't think it should be as simple like when people think of rock stars. I think most people think of like Kiss or people like that. But I'm like, a rock star is more than that. 'Cause I think it's somebody that's willing to not go within the lines and they're just going on their own whim. Hey, the music fills me and I feel the music. Let's rock out.
Yeah, it's like a lifestyle. It's like believing in yourself. I think. I went on this blind date like a couple years ago. It's probably the moment where all my views kind of became a thing.
Yeah.
And this girl was like, "What do you do for a living?" And I was like, "I'm a rock star." And the internet took that and ran with it. Snapchat still plays it to this day. If you go on YouTube right now and you look up "Cocky Rockstar," the video pops up. It's pretty crazy. And during that time, after like different YouTubers made videos and reactions about it, I learned like, okay, what does a rock star really mean to me? What does the world see as a rock star? Like obviously, like I said, my first concert ever was Ozzy Osbourne. That's a true rock star, R.I.P. And I like literally at that moment I hadn't even played a show, like a rock show. I was doing rap, and I was doing like rap rock. And like now, fast forward, I have rock music. I've played the Viper Room several times. I have a band. Like all the things that would check off as like the start to that world. As far as like fame, there's a lot of things. But overall, I think for me, being a rock star is being the best version of yourself. which is why I think like the whole reason why I brought up the cocky rockstar thing is like that was the narrative that the world attempted to give me because I was a little egotistical and very full of myself, and in that video I also claimed to be like the god of manifestation. And like I still believe that that's like a heavy way to look at it, but I do think that like what you believe is what's going to happen, right? And I think that I've been in a lot of situations where I've manifested my destiny, and I think it's important to believe in what you're doing. And if you think that you're going to be able to do something, it just starts by putting one foot in front of the other and saying like, okay, I'm going to do this. You know, when I played the Viper Room, before I played the Viper Room, I was like, wow, Johnny Depp, all the rock stars played there, the Goo, you know, the Pussycat Dolls, that was kind of where their thing started, and this is the Sunset Boulevard is the street. I need to perform. You know?
I'm getting more into the rock side now. One of my old teammates, he got me into it. Because before I was kind of like, yo, just rap, and I like alternative music. And then he's like, you need to listen to rock. And I was like, I don't know. But some of the stuff he has put me on has really like, I think Twisted Tornado is like a song I really like. And I'm like, wow. There's a whole genre out there that I've been missing on because we get these annotations of like rock and what it's supposed to be, and that it's not just for everybody, it's just for people that are just, I'm rebellious and all this, but now more than ever, I listen to that pretty consistently. So it's nice to see that it's now branching out, or it's always happened branching out, but now more people are listening to it.
Yeah, there's a resurgence for sure. You know, a lot of people feel indifferent about MGK. I think that what he did for rock was really cool. A lot of people felt that it may have been a poser move or whatever. But I think, hopefully it doesn't get me canceled. No, I'm kidding, I don't really care. MGK is
it's a safe space here.
A big inspiration.
I have like such a cult following, but it's like a small, like it's just, hey, this is my group. They can make a bunch of stuff, but you won't know until somebody branches out and tell you. Because I feel like I've heard one of his songs and I was like, this is pretty good. I didn't even know he made music this good. Like I was thinking like, oh yeah, you hear a few things here and there, but hearing some of his stuff, I'm like, it's really not as bad as what people have been saying. I think it's just, we're so used to just hearing outside noises instead of just going and actually listening to the artist himself. You know?
Yeah, I think, well, I've been listening to him since like Lace Up, which is one of his like more iconic albums. He has a song called Wild Boy. And like, so hearing him go from that to, the rock stuff was really cool, and inspiring, but I think everybody has like seasons, and it's kind of the same thing with me. I started with being a motivational rapper per se. I think that's what I used to say. Like a motivational rapper was my first song. It was called Come Of It. Yeah. It was all about being from a different environment, not being a product of it, and pushing people to believe in themselves and manifest their destiny.
So now on to my next question. You grew up in Tacoma and now you live in Los Angeles. How did those two cities shape you into the person you are now?
That's a whole conversation itself. I think growing up in Tacoma was less fortunate. My mom had me when she was 14 years old. I'm the oldest sibling. I grew up in a less fortunate opportunity zone, whatever you want to call it. And there was, I guess you could call it the ghetto, it's kind of where I come from. And you never really expect that with the way that I talk, the way that I hold myself and things like that. And so Tacoma really showed me how to not become a product of my environment. I was telling this story to somebody I was hanging out with last night, and it's like, I used to say that like all the people I surrounded myself when I was younger would be dead or in jail. Most recently, the person that I referred to that was in jail committed suicide. Don't think that's factual. Like I said, narratives are always changing, but and I think you think about that and it's like, dang, that could have been me. That's why it's important to do your best to not become a product of your environment. I'm a very big advocate on that. And Tacoma is it's a really cool place, but there's a lot of broken people there, and it's ironically called the City of Destiny.
We're not trying to laugh at that, but it's like, it's so, it'd be like that. It's what's double negative or oxymoron, whatever it's called. But yeah, your environment it does make the person, and it can make or break you. I'm from Arizona, and I was out there for 14 years. Fucking terrible. Heat, Terrible, let me tell you. But it made me the person I am now, because if you can survive in the heat and just deal with the bullshit that's out there, you can make it in California. You can make it anywhere. Same thing like people from New York. If you can make it out there, you can make it anywhere. So your environment can truly mold you to who you are, but it can also break you down, I think, as well too.
Yeah, I feel like I lived like in Tacoma. I had a lot of random kind of jobs. When I was 18, I was doing life insurance, which is crazy in itself. Had a 7-page script memorized, and I was teaching dance to kids. My very first job ever was working at an antique shop under the table to pay for my swag 16, which would be compared to a sweet 16.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think, I don't know, like I really fell in love with this dance called the jerk.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's kind of where everything sort of went for me. That was, before that I didn't know what I wanted to be or who I wanted to be, and then the jerk came out, and it kind of re-sparked everything for me on the creative side. And I was like, wow, this is my destiny. And then, it also kept people out of trouble. The people that I was jerking with, like I said, those are the people I was surrounding myself with. Once jerking died, a lot of bad things happened to a lot of those people because it was keeping people out of trouble. So I guess I travel through questions a lot. How did Tacoma make me? Yeah, I just kind of learned the seasons and really went through the trials and tribulations of failure, friendship, loss, growing up with a mom who was doing her best to make us the best that we could be, and feeling like she owed us, and that kind of thing. And then when I moved to LA, the first time I moved here was with like a collective of artists, and we all meshed together in a way, and then after a while it didn't work out and everybody went back, and then I came out here again with a couple of friends who are like my lifeline friends, and that went for a while, and then that didn't work out, and I came out here by myself. And I lived in a hostel with 25 people, which was pretty crazy.
Wow.
And it was a pretty interesting run. It was in Encino, 5 minutes away from MGK's house.
Wow.
But,
hey, there you go. Just like sitting at McDonald's or something. Like, you get chicken nuggets too? Hey, me too. But that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I learned like how to navigate through that, because when you're around those many people, and so I was doing 6 months here and 6 months there, and because I'm a big family guy, but the big thing about art is that you often make sacrifices, and there's not a day in my life that I don't think about the fact of like, dang, like I'm doing this. Originally I started music because I wanted to help my family, but the thing that people don't realize when they're artists or creatives is like, in that journey of trying to help your family, there comes a time where you realize that your family just wants what's best for you, and like sure, there's the times where the glitz and the glamour and the fame may happen, but if it doesn't, your family, as long as you stay connected with them and you find time to make with them and you don't just completely ignore them, they are happy that you're still chasing your dreams. Like my siblings, they have kids. I've been engaged twice. It's a whole other thing, but it's like there's been a lot of life things that could have stopped me. Most recently I got in 3 car accidents in 2024, all totaled cars. Probably shouldn't even be here right now, but I'm here. And it's like those are the kinds of things that make you think like, okay, I'm on the right path. I need to keep doing what I'm doing. There's a purpose that I'm here right now, and that's kind of why I think I make rock music. Is when I was making rap, it was about girls and relationships, which is a great thing, and emotions are great and whatnot. But the music I make now is about, it's like my sonic testimony about like life and
who you are,
how you connect Tacoma and LA, and just the overall vision of what is it like to really go after a dream when most people quit.
Kids, I hope y'all heard that, because sometimes I think everybody needs to hear shit's not going to be easy. You have to keep going and keep doing this. You've been doing it for a while. I'm just starting this, but I've been doing videos for a while, and so you start to mold and evolve and become that person that you need to be, but you won't get there if you stop.
Right.
There's been too many times where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stop now, maybe later, or I'm not gonna do it again, but I kept picking it back up. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, because there's so many people that could have been the president of the United States, an Olympic, Olympic, what is it? Athlete, my bad. I don't know why that fucking took so long. They could have been so many things, but they stopped and they gave up. So I just want everybody to know, don't give up on your dreams, keep going for it, and get the bread at the end of the day, because this economy is crazy. My next question is, you performed near Area 51 at Alien Stop. Did you see any aliens? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, it's an interesting story, the Area 51 thing, because it all started with that dude, Maddie, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Who made a Facebook group and it went super viral.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, let's storm Area 51.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of a joke, and then I saw it was like a viral sensation type thing, and then I heard that there was going to be a rave there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where my manifestation came into play.
Okay.
Because I got with a couple of friends and my videographer at the time. And I was like, look, I'm not on the bill. Let's drive there. I'm going to perform.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend, my videographer, my little sister, being a cool big brother and whatnot, I was like, let's go. Let's just take this. Let's go to Nevada. We're driving from Washington. Whatever happens, happens, but I promise you I'm performing.
Okay.
And we got there, and I got a tent from Amazon. I'm trying not to go too off topic, but basically it was the wrong tent. So our tent was completely messed up.
Yeah.
So we had to it was a whole journey. Like we set the tent up, it was good. Woke up in the morning, it was like numb. It was ice cold out there. Did I see aliens? Well, I'm a firm believer in exploring the third eye.
Mm-hmm.
To keep things politically correct, I suppose. I think that, it's important to explore yourself on a deeper level. And however you decide to do that, I'm not necessarily saying, go do substances or anything crazy, but I think that there's things that you should do, whatever it may be, that releases that serotonin for you or opens up your mind or reconnects your neuropathogens to really think deeper of who you are.
Yeah.
And during that Area 51 trip, ironically enough, that did happen. There were some things. And I think it was really cool. We got there and I was very set on performing, and sure enough, the universe aligned, because there was a guy walking around that was like, wow, we just had someone drop out. And I was like, wow, that was easy. Cool. Hey, I want to perform. I have my USB.
Yeah.
Sure enough, there it was. I performed at Alien stuff.
Wow.
And it was pretty nuts, because this was really early on in my manifestation days. And I was like, wow, that really actually happened. And I got to back up for this girl named Premiere, who's really cool. She's actually a pretty big influencer, artist, actress. I think she even has a documentary about this experience on Netflix right now.
Wow.
Cool. That was the Naruto run?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was a
I know
huge.
It's a big thing.
It was a huge thing because I thought it was a joke at first too, and then I see on the news people are there just like, all right, we're gonna do it, but we're not gonna do it. And I feel like at this point, Area 51 isn't even Area 51 anymore because it's too well known. They probably moved it across the street and just have everybody going to that one.
There's a gate, so I remember the dude, I'm sure you saw the YouTube video, but he dropped his phone on the other side of the gate, and there was a whole bunch of military people, and they were immedially about to press him if he just from grabbing his phone from under that gate. They were hey, they were ready. And it was pretty crazy. I remember being there, and I used to be a very big advocate about dancing in places that would be abnormal. And so I made a dance video there, of course. I have a video. I don't know if it's on. Actually, yeah, it's on YouTube.
It is?
If you look up the alien stock vlog, it's on there.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's like a 10-minute video. Because that was the other thing too, is not only did I take them with me, but we vlogged the entire experience.
Okay.
And so if you go on YouTube, it's probably underwatched, but it is on my YouTube, I believe, and it's called the Alien Stock Vlog. And from day one all the way through, you can watch our experience.
Dang, that's cool. It's always interesting when it comes to raves because sometimes you can have a little underground one and there's big ones, and I feel like the underground ones are a little bit better because it's more of a personal experience, but the bigger ones are I'm hearing cool big names, and so it's all right, it's lit, but it's just too many people sometimes.
Yeah, I think in I'm trying to think how I would say it. With the alien stock situation, there was a moment of I think disagreement between the person who started that whole movement and the person who was helping run that.
Yeah.
This girl named Connie ran this event, it's called the Alien Inn. It still exists. It's a little restaurant out there in Nevada, out on next to there.
Yeah.
And basically, from what I understand, there was an offer that was made to the person who originally made it, and he kind of backed out and went to Vegas. I don't know if you heard the second part of the story here, but yeah, he basically backed out and went to Vegas and did alien stock out there. And the people who stayed for alien stock where it was supposed to be, that was really cool because it was kind of like an underdog moment, she had there was some legal stuff. I don't really know exactly how much I'm allowed to talk about, but basically it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Like, because basically it got so big that there were offers that were made because it became so big that the situation became completely different than what it was. And so the alien stock that I went to is not the commercial alien stock that happened because XYZ sponsors decided to actually get into it and bring it to Vegas or whatever. And so they kind of picked up ship and kind of left her hanging, you know, and Connie handled it really well.
Wow.
And it was really inspiring to see that because she basically, I mean, it's kind of like you make this big thing, you make all these plans, and then it becomes a thing where it's like, oh, I'm left by myself.
Yeah.
And the people that stayed at that alien stock really held it down, and it was a really dope moment. And everything was kind of like makeshift because everything had to be switched because, like I said, the sponsors happened. So all the money and things like that that had to go into it were kind of like revoked in a way.
Yeah, the
So
spirit. It's like, hey, we're gonna have to
okay, we still have to do this. How are we gonna do this?
Yeah.
And by the power of the people, it happened, which is really dope to
That's
see.
crazy, because something like that could like, hey, we're done, we're not doing this no more. But to find the strength to keep going, and like now you're giving that experience to the people that really are going to support you, it makes it even more sweeter that you were able to still come out on top.
And it was really fun performing there too. Really, it was a great time.
Man. So now my next question is, explain to me what Aussie Fest 07 is.
Ozfest?
Yeah.
He's passed away, so I don't want to do this the wrong way. I think from my understanding, Ozfest was a rebellion of Ozzy Osbourne due to current concert climate. And so him and Sharon he did, and Sharon actually is bringing it back, but at least that's what they're saying on the internet. But it was kind of his festival, like for the people. He didn't feel that Live Nation, I believe. I don't know the full narrative, but basically there was a disagreement from what I understand. I could be uninformed, but basically it was his way of giving back to the people the proper way because the concert climate was not what he wanted. Again, I have to fact check that fully, but for me it was my very first concert ever. My mom was like, hey, let's go to Ozfest, and it was at White River Amphitheater, and it was in Seattle, I think, or Auburn, I guess technically. And there was a lot of really cool bands. I was in like, I don't know what grade I was in, but I got to meet Zach Wilde, which was insane. He's like one of the most interesting guitarists ever. And it was a very pivotal moment for me because at that point in time I realized that rock was going to be a very, very background core identity that kind of manifests where I'm at today. You know what I mean? Because now I make rock, which is crazy. You know, I grew up listening to rock. I never thought I was going to do that, but I did I was a drummer. So after drill team, I did band. And I did clarinet, these kinds of things. And after that, when I went to high school, I was on drumline. And then after drumline season died down, became concert band. Fun fact, I can't read music. And so that was kind of what basically put me into dance. And then in dance, they were like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I was like, oh, we're back to this again. So then I quit doing dance. Then I got into photography, which didn't require counting anything. And then I really wanted to make my own dance team, and that's where Varsity Crew became a thing. And Varsity Crew previously was my dance team that I took out of high school, and now it's my entertainment label.
That's cool.
Everything that I like speak and exist from, you know, like Varsity Crew is it's like my kid.
And so like everything has kind of started from rock, and now it's been evolving into what you are now. Do you feel like now that you got into this point, what's the next step from here?
To continue making an impact, and to explore the idea of being raw, authentic, and genuine. I think that one thing that Tacoma, and just in general, you know, moving to LA, there's all these smoke and mirrors. You know, the very first piece of advice I got when I moved to LA was, just remember why you're going there, because if you don't, you're going to forget. You know, because LA can swallow you quick. And I think it's all about the people you have around you. But a lot of times people you have around you can mislead you. You know, I'm not gonna say anything more than that, but you know, I've had some interesting experiences with people and understanding the judgment of character, these kinds of things. And I think ultimately, for me, like that, I've been on like a self-development journey. And I think that it's so important to do that. And I think that for me, my next steps is helping other people understand and just motivating other people to like explore, to be deeper with themselves. And it doesn't just, you don't have to take psychedelics. That may not be a thing for you for XYZ reasoning. But like just challenging yourself to reflect constantly and think about the things that you do and why you did them and the people you're around and how they affect you and what role do they play in your life and what role do they play in the life that you want. They say that you're the average of the 5 people you hang around, right? And so like I was saying earlier with my friends, a lot of them are unfortunately passed away and they didn't get a chance to live out their dreams because they became a product of their environment. And so I think for me the next steps is just continuing to show that like I'm not a product of my environment and I can overcome that and continue to overcome that. I haven't touched alcohol in like almost 3 years, because I saw what was happening in the life that I wanted. I was going to these parties, the hills. I remember when I first moved to LA, I was like, I gotta get into all these parties in the hills.
Yeah.
And I got into a bunch of them and there's free alcohol and then I was like, wow, I just met Mod's son who's like this cool rock star guy.
Yeah.
And like I don't remember anything we talked about because I was blasted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that sucks. I could have maybe actually had an intellectual conversation with him. Maybe not because it was a party, but like still at the same time, like, like I don't know because I was so blasted and I don't even remember it too much, and these kinds of things. And so I think it's just important to always be self-aware, and I think me being almost on the brink of 30, I suppose, I always told myself that like I would have it all figured out by the time I'm 30, and like I'm learning now that having it all figured out doesn't always mean having it all figured out, if that makes sense.
Exactly,
It means like just being more aware of things and really understanding who you are, what you stand for, and the people you want to inspire, and that goes back to music, of course, is like, what does your music mean? I've had many times where I've hung out with people and like they're like, yo, I was listening to this one song and when you say this, it really hit different for me. And I'm like, whoa, to me these were just lyrics, because I work with songwriters. A lot of people don't mention these things because of, they feel like, oh, I write my own music, and well, I have a team, and I bring the idea to the table. I'm a producer,
and they help you bring it out.
They help me they help me say what I need to say in a sonic way that's going to hit with the people that listen to my music. And it's been a really fun ride with that. And in a way too, what you talk about, R.I.P. Juice WRLD, R.I.P. X, and Lil Peep, what you talk about in your music can manifest it. When I was making music about relationships and toxicness and these kinds of things, those were all manifesting into my relationships in a way too. Like it was about them sometimes, but then other times it would be like, wow, hold on, like that wasn't one of my songs. Or like I never hopped on a plane before and I had a song called Selfish Love that was like, I'm on the next plane, and like 6 months later I was on planes back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Manifest.
I want to ask a question. You have a team. Now, me in my basement, I was able to create a number of theme songs for this vertical drama we were working on. I just popped it out and they were great. Now I'm wondering, you have a team, are you verging into AI to help you write or do that, or are you going to stay completely away from that because it's not good news?
Well,
that's a good question.
My team does not like AI, and I think that AI is such a controversial topic. I'm always thinking about like the empowerment of the internet.
It's funny because that was actually going to be our next question too. I was like,
sorry.
Oh no, you.
He said team, and I started thinking about, because it was trash what I made, but it was good because I put it on there and it looked like somebody created a theme song.
No, it's perfect because now that rolls into the next segment of like, do you think AI is beneficial to not only the creatives, but the industry as a whole when it comes to music and even films? Because we were kind of talking about that earlier. Because now we're seeing more AI, or I guess what the kids are saying, AI slop. Or for example, in music, we're seeing songs being created through that, but it's just, you're missing something, and I think that's the soul of
human
it.
element.
Yeah, the human element of it. And it's like you can make all these songs through AI to save money, but is it going to last 40, 50, 60, 100 years from now?
So, a core part of my team is a producer and songwriter that I live with. I met him in that house with 25 people. Pretty cool. But AI. I think using AI, there's pluses and minuses, right? There's a whole spectrum of why it's bad, and there's some things that can be good. I just had this conversation the other day with my roommates, and I think that using AI for productivity, information, those things are passable per se.
Yeah.
Using it for creativity, it's just not the move. You know what I mean? I think that, you know, if you, I mean, I put it this way, right? Like, to me, it's like when you're an artist and you think about it, I've had a lot of people kind of talk to me about like, oh, you use songwriters, right? But like, I would never use an AI songwriter. That's crazy. I think that, I mean, you know, teach their own, I suppose, but even just like stepping away from that question and thinking like, what does AI do to the environment, right? And like one person stopping using AI, obviously is not going to change anything if there's millions of people using it and like everybody in the world is leaning towards it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just like everything else, being vegan, etc., right? It's like it gives you a different feeling, you know, and ultimately, like if I use AI to, for instance, you know, I throw events and stuff, right, sometimes, you know, and so it's like, if I use AI to help me make a schedule, that might make sense, because I might stress a little bit, and in the moment, if I can be like, hey, I just had an artist drop out, and I need to fix this schedule, and we need to end by this time for sure, can you make me a schedule? Instead of, but on the flip side, that's also somewhat negative, because you don't go through that critical thinking.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not problem solving. And so it's like, is AI bad right now? I think there's a 50-50 depending on who you're talking to. But the people that are growing up with it are going to significantly not have the proper assets in life and skill sets to fend for themselves.
Yeah.
In a way, you know what I mean? And so getting back to your question about like music and art is like, I don't think the AI should be associated with art. I think that if you're going to use it for art, I think that it should be about finding the information to create your art, right? So it's like, instead of being like, create this for me, it's like, what is the best way to create this? And then you take those steps and maybe obviously get with someone, you know, but the other side of it is that AI is really convenient for people because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that there's like that segment too, you know, like my most recent song, Memories on Melrose, there was a lot of budget was put into it. You know, the average song to blow up takes like $185,000, I believe I heard on like a podcast or something, right? And like, nobody just has $185,000 laying around to break a song, right? But like, time is money, you know, so if you only have, let's say, $5,000 for a song, okay, great, you need $180,000 worth of your time and experts' time to make that song pop off. You know, AI is not going to help you with that. You know, you need to meet the people and the experiences. You know, I think that using AI for productivity instead of creativity is the move, but also being cautious of the fact that X amount of prompts is like doing something to the environment. And maybe you can't stop it just yourself, but just being cautious of how much you're using it, because at the end of the day, just like I've kind of been talking about the neuropathogens and things, like your brain is your most powerful tool. And if you're not using it and exercising like anything else, you kind of just
shrinks almost kind of like I think right now we're in a day and age when it comes to AI is that people want things to be quick, fast, and efficient. We're not in a sense of like patience or waiting for things. They want, hey, I need this done now, cheap, and like 2 minutes ago. Versus, let me take my time to really invest and make something, so that way this product or whatever I'm making is going to last generations. And I think we're still looking at the short side instead of the long term. And I remember, I think it was Black Eyed Peas had made this video about this device copying people's songs and making stuff like that. And it's funny because Rock My Body was a little bit kind of about that, like robots and AI taking over the music industry. And I remember seeing that and being like, damn, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. And now cut to today, so many people are using that for, I'm about to make me a hit song that can be popping in 24 seconds. Cool, it's gonna pull stuff from everybody, but where's the uniqueness? Where's you? Where's the overall soul of you making that product? So I have to agree with you, 100%. You did bring up your new single, and I wanted to talk to you about that. So tell us more about Memory on Melrose and the process of making that, and what are your plans from there?
Like I said, in 2024, I went through 3 car accidents, 2 months apart from each one. First one, I got T-boned by a Maserati crossing a 4-way intersection. I made it 75% of the way through. And I guess it was deemed as my fault because I shouldn't have crossed a 4-way. I suppose I should have just took a left or whatever, or a right. But I crossed, almost, and I got T-boned. And in a weird way, the car was on its like last leg too, so like it was like a blessing in disguise because I was able to walk away from it. There are a lot of people getting car accidents and aren't able to walk away from it. That was one. Second one, I fell asleep while driving and coming off that dangerous road from the hills to, it's Crescent Heights, right?
Yeah.
Crescent Heights. That street, just so people know in general, comes to dead stops all the time. And it was like 6 a.m. and I was just cruising down from the hills, and then sure enough, slammed brakes, and I think I was like dozing in a way or whatever, and no brakes at all, just straight into a car.
Yeah.
And again, same thing. Unfortunately, it was crazy too because I ran into a girl that was on her way to high school. Which was a pretty crazy. Just thinking about like, damn, like I could have really screwed this up and like messed someone up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all because I was working really hard towards this dream. I was doing 15 hours a day doing Instacart.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't doing Instacart, I was clocking off doing Instacart and attending these events and networking. And so I was like spreading myself so thin, and that was pretty crazy. And then there was a third car that was involved in that car accident, which was like this Hispanic family. And like I remember the mom it was this guy and his mom was having like heart complications. And I was like, wow, this is crazy, bro. Like I fell asleep and I just crashed into a high schooler. Then a high schooler crashed into this other person with an elderly woman that's Hispanic. And this is insane. Like you really need to hold yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third car accident was on my way to a jam session. And this one wasn't my fault fully. And I was just driving and this old man was doing a U-turn because the freeway was on the other side.
Yeah.
And he went straight into me.
Oof.
3 different cars, 3 different tolls,
Dang.
complete tolls.
Yeah.
That last car accident though was deemed as not my fault. And because of that, I received money. And I invested 3/4 of that money into Memories on Melrose. I hired a band. And during that time too, I was going through some things, and people that I care about were helping me through it because that was the point where it was like, go home and keep going.
Yeah.
You get into 3 car accidents. Instacart is all I knew for 6 years of my life. It was the way that I was able to chase my dream. And had I gotten another car, continue doing Instacart, I probably would be here.
Yeah.
Like real life. I don't drive like very much at all anymore. Not because I can't. I have my license. I'm a responsible driver. It was just that like when you're doing Instacart or food delivery in LA, it's a common thing. You're like, oh man, I need to keep going because I can keep doing it and I can do 15 hours and go to sleep and wake up and do 15 hours.
Yeah.
You don't understand that like that the grind culture that we're in is a very serious thing. And it took a lot. It literally took almost killing myself to see that.
Get your rest, yeah. Well, I think people in California can be a bit of, we can be workaholics. When I was working at SoFi, bro, I was doing 80-hour work weeks. And I'm just like, I was doing that and still playing college football. So to do all that and be like, dang, bro, I know I can keep going, but I'm tired and I need to take that break. It's hard to say that for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what Memories of Melrose is about. It's like there's a lot of ways. Me and the producer / songwriter, Damian Malik, I brought the idea. I said, man, I want to make like a real rock song. We had an attempt previously for a song called "Crying on Sunset," which is a slow banger. I feel like it was really about the moments in life where things are going up and down at the same time. Because I was right after I played the Viper Room, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. I've always wanted to play the Viper Room, but like, why do I still feel like this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then like Memories on Melrose was like, okay, I want to make a song that like is rebellious and talks about like all these people who tell you these different things, change yourself, trusting your gut, trusting your own intuition. Because I feel like a lot of people go to other people because there's 5 people you hang around.
Yeah.
You're going to those people for advice and these different things, but at the end of the day, you have to fall in love with yourself and fall in love with this self-development of yourself and understand the way that you think is also important.
Yeah.
Your own, trusting your process. Because we all fall into the trust the process, everything will be okay. The part that they don't talk about is like you have to trust your process.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't compare, comparison is the thief of joy, and so Memories on Melrose kind of encapsulates all of that.
Yeah.
It's really about taking, reflection and thinking back to that and thinking like, okay, I'm gonna do it my way. This person may have told me to do it this way and tell me that you can't do it. There's a lyric in there that's like, telling me I need to change myself so I can be on TV. Well, for me, I've been on Jerry Springer, I've been on Judge Judy, I've been on all these things.
Wow.
And so it's like I've been on TV,
Yeah.
right? Like, just taking the lyrics straight out of it, right? It's like I've already done that, and that's what the song talks about too. Is like, but I've already done it, So it's like it's true. I've already done it, and so it's like you don't need to do these things to accomplish these things, but you need to trust your process. Like, hey, when you do these things, what is coming from that? Why do you keep doing it? Why is it your way? And then it's like there's a part of the song that's like, I wouldn't listen to you because everything that I do comes from the life that I live. Why would I listen to you? When I walk outside and lose myself on the way, you only get one life. Why would I give it to you?
It's a bar.
Right? And it's like, those words are powerful.
Yeah.
Because you live from that experience. Like earlier, you were talking about how does Tacoma and LA, it all comes together. This whole song, this whole testimony. If you're like religious or spiritual, your life experiences are your testimony. And Memories on Melrose is like a testimony for those underdogs, those dreamers. Whether you're a nurse and you hate nursing, whether you're a worker and you're working a laborious job and you want to just be creative, or whether you're a person that doesn't know how to be creative and you wish that you could be creative. It's like you have to trust your process. You have to understand that like you can listen to other people and really take those with a grain of salt, but ultimately like listen to yourself. Listen to yourself in the past lives you've had, which I have an upcoming single, about past lives, which is about destroying those past lives or understanding them. And that's the next song. The Memories on Melrose is the mom era. It's the era of trusting your process, trusting what you're doing, and understanding that other people are gonna have opinions. My grandma always said, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
Exactly.
And same thing with assuming. Like you make an ass out of you and me. And those are very powerful things to remember and understand, because at the end of the day, nobody's gonna have your back besides you. Like, yes, you can have friends that have your back, parents, family, people you love, but when you go to bed at night, the person that controls your thoughts is you.
Mm-hmm. It's all you. It's like living in a mirror. It's nobody else is in there unless it's like Bloody Mary or Freddy Krueger or something like that. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. I think a lot of people don't follow their passions. They don't. For example, nurses that hate nursing. I'm pretty sure there's thousands of nurses that do not like their jobs, but they're doing it because it pays them. And it's such because this economy is so bad. People can't follow their dreams. They can't do what they want to do. They have to, provide for their family or, a loved one or something like that. So to put something out there for, hey, no matter what, follow your dreams still, it is inspirational because people do need to hear that. I think there's so much negativity going on right now in the world. There's not enough people that are saying like, hey, I believe in you. You go out there and go do it. It might not be perfect the first time or the 20,000th time, but the moment you get there, it will make all of those times you failed worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've probably performed from dance to modeling to singing to even acting. I don't know, like at least 1,000 stages.
Mm-hmm.
When I first moved to LA, I was doing an open mic every single day of the week. All 7 days.
Yeah. It's a true
doing Instagram.
Yeah, it's a true grind, and sometimes I'll say this, some people got it, some people don't. And that's okay if you don't got it, but the people that do got it, don't give up on it.
Yeah, I've been reading this book by Mel Robbins called The Let Them Theory.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's really been, and I'm going to get Let Them tattooed. My friend, Tony Newberry.
Yeah.
He is an artist as well, very good friend of mine. And, I was like, man, I feel like life has really been testing me and stuff. And he was like, yeah, man, I really think you should read this book.
Yeah.
And I'm not a reader. Well, I started reading this book, I'm on page 200, and I read it 15 minutes every day, Monday through Friday.
Uh-huh.
And actually, it's in my bag right now. I'll probably maybe even read it on the way home.
There we go.
And it really has a lot, teaches you a lot of stuff, because a lot of times you know, people are like, oh, just let them do them. And like the thing is the other side that it talks about is you have to let you.
Yeah.
And that's that Memories of Melrose mindset. You have to let you, right? Like they talk about the adult friendships and the great scatter. And it's like, you know, when you're in school, you're doing the same thing with every single person. You're automatically invited to everything and these things. But then you become an adult, you move away. People have families, they stop chasing their dreams. And now those conversations dim down. They don't talk about as much. And you have to learn how to let yourself. You know, you see an Instagram picture and you're like, wow, those are all the homies.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I get invited?
Yeah.
But you don't understand.
Yeah.
You don't understand that, like, well, why didn't you get invited? Did you ask? Are you just assuming that you're gonna get invited? You know, are you not understanding that friendships are based on proximity, energy, and timing?
Mm-hmm.
And you may have one of those things that aren't necessarily the case anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, I have a love for my home state, Washington. I think it's beautiful. Nature's amazing. Tacoma, as much as I, you know, bagged on it, I guess you could say, I still have love for it. I literally have it tattooed on my wrist.
It's like a love-hate relationship.
I think that like it's a piece of me, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like I hope to be like that dude. I forgot his name, but he got the key of the city for
D.B.
Tacoma.
Cooper. He got the key to the city in Tacoma.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I think that might have been him. Yeah, I don't remember. I want to say his name was Troy. I don't know. He was like this dude at Tacoma most recently. For whatever reason, I'm forgetting who it was. But if you Google it, there's a lot of people that have gotten city keys and stuff. That is definitely an aspiration of mine, but I know that that's going to take a lot of stuff. And at the end of the day, nobody supports you until you leave your hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I've been on this journey. And you know, ultimately, it takes 10 years to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
At least to fathomly understand it. And that's the hard part, is that I'm always doing way too much.
Yeah.
So like, I guess any advice that I have for people is like, just remember, just because you can do everything, you can prove people wrong. It's gonna be incredibly hard to detract from it when you understand that what it takes is to focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, even if I wanted to, it would take mountains to move to just focus on one thing, because I have my clothing line and I have my label and I have my content journeys as well as my music. But now I'm learning, like, okay, how do I delegate this to make this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why this book has been really good, because a lot of times we don't understand the mental bandwidth it takes to not let them.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're like, wow, this person's really going through some stuff, especially as an empath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're like, wow, I really feel for them. But then you're like, well, do they want the help? Are they willing to take the steps?
Yeah.
Are they willing to, you know, I don't like my body when I look in the mirror. Okay, cool, I'm going to start working out every day at 5 a.m. But are they going to be able to do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't like this situation and how this went. Did they assess the situation and are they aware that they don't want that to happen again?
Yeah.
Or are they just going to keep repeating that same pattern?
Keep going.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that like this book is just that little, all that I just talked about, all realizations from this book, you know, and I think Mel Robbins was very brilliant and everything about it. So if you want to read, and if you're not a reader, strongly suggest.
Yeah,
There.
okay, and you heard it. All right, well, we're coming to the end of the segment. Thank you guys for coming on to the show. I truly appreciate it. This was truly eye-opening and interesting to hear different people's viewpoints on different things that they love. So at this point in the segment, we're going to now do shout-out. All right, you boss man?
You know, it's your friendly neighborhood rockstar. Obviously, always shouting out Varsity Crew Entertainment. 58 projects out in Rochester, New York. My mom, my dad for creating me. And just everybody that's helped me on my journey, specifically, you know, Damian Malik being a phenomenal producer, songwriter, engineer, who's really helped me bring my vision to life and helped me with clarity to understand pulling out the vision that I didn't know that I had, as well as this podcast. And just, you know, there's a lot of names I can say, but overall just the people that have really helped me become who I am today.
There we go. Well, that's the show, you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.